All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to continue our Semester 1 review. Please make sure your name and number are at the top of your paper, as well as this title, Semester 1 Review. We are going to be continuing with Module 2 today. That's why you see the same Roman numeral here. We're using the Roman numeral 2 again, because it is still Module 2. This is just Module 2 continued. Module 2 continued. Module 2 concluded, in fact. We are going to finish this today. Module 2 is mostly talking about multiplication in the beginning and, towards the end, where we are now, division. So, let's talk a little bit about Lesson 16 and review using mental math to divide. Using mental math to divide is very similar to using mental math to multiply. If I give you something that looks like this, 3,600 divided by 90, and this is only going to work if we have multiples of 10 like we do here. If we have numbers that end in 0 or zeros, we're going to box up the non-zero digits. Anything that's not 0, we're going to box up, and we keep them together. So this is not 3 and 6, it's 36. And then we'll divide. 36 divided by 9. If you know your multiplication tables, hopefully it comes pretty quickly that that is 4. Now, unlike with multiplication where we got to add the zeros, this we're going to do something a little different. We are going to make pairs and eliminate zeros. So here I have a 0 in the ones column. I have another 0 in the ones column here. So those two cancel each other out. Now over here I have a 0 in the tens column. I do not have a 0 in the tens column here. So this 0 will go ahead and continue over. That 0 does get carried over because it can't cancel. The other ones, the 0 in the ones, 0 in the ones, they cancel each other out, so we don't use them. Okay. This, again, hopefully you're noticing a pattern here. This will prove very useful as we review Lesson 17. Now, for Lesson 17, we were talking about estimating quotients. And we have to be careful here because when we're estimating with division, the rules change. If I try to use the regular rules, they don't work. If I try to use the regular rules, then I can't always divide. I may end up rounding to numbers that are not divisible. This is why compatible numbers are key. They are super important. Those of you who have been reviewing your notes probably recognize I did this exact same thing for your review notes before the Module 2, post-Module 2 test. It is that important. Okay? Compatible numbers I know are tricky for some of us. We're still kind of getting the hang of it. But we need to use them when we're estimating quotients. What happens is this. I may give you something, let's say 320 divided by 7. 320 divided by 7. Actually, let's make it 70 so we can see what's going on just like we did up here. Okay? 320 divided by 70. Now, if I start the same way, box up the non-zero digit, box up the non-zero digits, 32 cannot be divided evenly by 7. So I need to think to myself, what multiple of 7 is pretty close to 32? Normal rounding, I would just round this thing to 300, but I cannot divide 300 by 70 either. So, what multiple of 7 is close to 32? Go ahead and pause the video, count by sevens if you need to, See what you come up with. Hopefully, you're back. Well, hopefully you're back. And you came up with 35. Now, if you had 28, that would work also. Either of those would be fine. I'm going to go with 35 because it's just the tiniest bit closer. Now, 320 is not going to round to 35. 320 is going to round to 350. That 0 still needs to go over there. We're going to leave the 70 alone. We don't want to touch that one. 35 divided by 7 is 5. The zeros cancel. So 320 divided by 70 is approximately equal to 5. Now, 5 is actually going to be a little high. This would probably be 4 point something, 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 something. That's okay. We're estimating. We just need it to be close. All right, letter C. We talked about mental division. We talked about estimating using mental division. Now we're going to use some estimating and mental division to help us when we're doing actual, real dividing with one-digit quotients. So our answers will only have one digit. They'll be relatively short. Okay. Let's say I give you something like this. And I know we don't have a ton of space to work, but we'll do the best we can. Let's go ahead and take 92 divided by, let's say, 15. Okay. Now first, I can think of this, I can estimate, try to get a general idea. 15, well 15's not going to go into 92. But I know that 15 goes into 30. I know that 30 goes into 90. So if I round this to 90, 90 divided by 15, again, 15 goes into 30 twice. If there are 3 30s, then 3 times 2, 15 should go in about 6 times. My answer should be 5 something. Okay, it's going to be a little lower than this. It should be really close to 6, though. Let's work it out and see what we get. Okay. We'll go ahead and draw our division hut. We'll put the real numbers in, 92 divided by 15. Okay. Now, I used estimating to figure out that this should go in about 6 times. Well, if 6 times 15 is 90, that actually is a little less than this. 6 times 15 is 90. So I can just write that. Okay. Now, we're not going to bring decimals down or any of that craziness. For right now, we are just going to bring up a remainder. The answer here is 6 remainder 2. So I originally said that my answer might be a little lower. That's okay. It was a tiny bit higher. It's still really close to 6. That'll do. The estimate helps me start my division. The estimate helps me check my division when I'm done. Okay. Now, for the second lesson on division, jumping ahead to lesson 22, this time we're dividing with 2-digit quotients. So your answers are going to be a bit longer, not too bad, but a little longer. For this one, I'm not going to give you the answer right now. I'm not going to work this out right now, but I will give you a problem. Would you please take a look at 423 divided by 15. Going with 15 again. I know, pretty weird. I will round it with you, because I know rounding with 15s can be a little odd. I like 15 because it makes me think of the time on a clock. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes. Think of those as kind of benchmarks. keeping that in mind, when I look at 42, I think, well, wait a minute, I just said 45, didn't I? 45 minutes. So even though normally this would round down to 420 or 400, I'm going to round it up to 450 because that can easily be divided by 15. 45 divided by 15 would be 3. Now this time I've got a 0. In the last problem, I needed that 0. I needed to use it to divide by 15. But this time I didn't use it. So I'll bring it over. My final answer should be pretty close to 30. Now, this time I did round up, which means this time my answer is probably a little high. Think more along the lines of 29, 28. But still gives us a place to get started. Go ahead, pause the video, work out your division. Go ahead and pause the video, work out your division. All right. Now I fibbed a little bit. I said I wasn't going to give you the answer, but as I'm doing this video, I'm thinking probably a good idea to practice one more. All right, 423 divided by 15. Hopefully you did this already. 15, will 15 go into 4? No, 4 is too small. But it will go into 42. Now our estimate was that 15 goes into 45 3 times. This isn't 45. It's a little lower. So instead of going with that 3 that I had earlier, I'm going to go ahead and try a 2 and see what that gets me. 2 times 15, again 15 minutes plus 15 minutes is 30 minutes. 2 minus nothing is 2. 4 minus 3 is 1. Okay, so that's less than 15. Bring down the... how many times is 15 going to go into 123? Well, I don't know for sure, but I do know that my final answer should be close to 30. So I'm not going to go with 1 or 2. I'm going to pick a bigger number. Let's go over here. Let's see what 15 times 8 gets me. Might be way too big. 8 times 5 is 40. Carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8. 9, 10, 11, 12. Or I suppose it could be pretty much perfect. 40, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I don't think we're going to do any better than that. That's only 3 away. Once again, my estimate helps guide me. 8 times 15 is 120. Well, I know that. Subtract, I get 3. So that's my remainder. 28, remainder 3. Don't really need that 0 anymore, but you know how much I love it. I'll go ahead and leave those. And just as it does during the day, the bell tells me that I am just about out of time for this video. So even though our original Module 2, post-Module 2 review had a couple more sections, I really think that this is going to cover most of what you need to know. We will do some more division practice in class, so watch for that. As always, if you have any questions, please write them down, bring them to class, let me know. Some of you pointed out in my last video I did make a little bit of a goof, so I was able to fix that. Well, I was able to note that anyway. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Good luck with this, and I will see you in class.